Good evening. Let's have a call to order.
Nancy Kupka.
Present.
Mike Davenport.
Present.
Cheryl Fuller.
Present.
Dan Nicholas.
Present.
Carrie Pavasich.
Here.
Rick Pavanato.
Here.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Here.
And Haley Grubich.
Here. We have a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have some recognition.
We'll start with North High School student perspectives. Janice?
Good evening. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing two students who do a lot for us at Downers Grove North High School. They're both juniors, Tessa Ahrens and Delaney Durbin. Tessa, I actually got to spend almost 5 or 6 days, I guess, in London. She's in clarinet, and I was supervising the clarinet group. And Tessa also was part of the group that did the student exchange with Morton last year that came here, so you might recognize her from that. And then Delaney Durbin, I've also worked with quite a bit, and she serves on the Student Advisory Council. So both of them have been involved in a lot of leadership activities, and most recently, they were part of the WSC Leadership Conference, which you have heard about a couple years ago from participants, but these two were two of the leaders. So they're going to speak to you about that event and then just some of their other leadership opportunities and how we're trying to grow student leaders at North High School. Okay, so I will call up Delaney, and I think Delaney's going to speak first, right? Yes? Okay, and Tessa.
Hi everyone, I'm Delaney. It's so nice to talk to you guys. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what the process looked like to be a leader for this conference, and then what it was that we wanted students to take away from it, and how we kind of went through that and got people involved. So Tessa and I were both leaders this year. We were both participants last year, and then we got involved being a leader this year. It was super awesome. So as leaders, we had a day a couple weeks in advance where we met with the couple that runs it, Deb and Dana. I think that their program is called Core Training. And they met with the leaders, and we talked through the curriculum that we had gone through as participants. So we got the same packet, we did some of the same activities just to refresh our memory. And then on that day, we talked about why we were doing the things we did. So we have 3 different breakout sessions. They were communications, leadership, the leadership cycle, and what was the last one? Inclusion. I only taught communication, so I was that was what I was most focused on. And we talked about the different activities you do, how we get students involved, the questions we want them to answer, and why we teach those things. But we didn't know which one we were going to be teaching as leaders. Then a couple weeks later, the night before the conference, the leaders all went to the conference center at Rosemont that we'd be teaching at. We got our partner, we got the project we'd be teaching, and then we went to our rooms and started walking through the script of what we were going to say and how we were going to say it, what we wanted the students to be feeling, and how we wanted to organize the room and stuff like that. So we were partnered with someone from a different school, preferably of a different personality type than you, which we figured out on the first day we met, which was phenomenal. Tessa and I were both leaders of communication. We didn't lead together. I led with a wonderful girl from Morton West, and we had a student teacher as well. So preferably each group had 2 students leading and then a teacher sponsor helping out in case anything went wrong. And then the next day, we were ready to teach, hopefully, and we got our groups of about 17 to 20 students. And so what we really wanted the students to take away, at the end of the day, our goal was for them to go back to school feeling that they can make their respective school a better place somehow. And so for communication, we talked a lot about what people don't think about when they're communicating. They don't think about how the actual words they're saying are not the biggest % of what they're portraying. Their body language and their tone of voice portray way more than just the words they're saying. We talked about listening. We talked about what social media does in everyday life and everyday communication, how that can help or hinder communication. And then I know in the leadership cycle, we talked about the 3 C's of leadership and how there are so many different aspects to leadership and how it's important to think about everyone when you're trying to be a leader, even just in everyday communication. And then for inclusion, we talked about how it's hard to see see things from everyone's point of view, right? Like there was an activity where you got a note card with a number on it, and the ones were the kids that are the oddballs out, the ones that no one really talks to. The 5s were the all-star athletes, the musicians, everyone knows their name. You had a number, you put it on your forehead, you didn't know what number you were. You walked around and people treated you the way they would treat that number. And the idea is to treat everyone like a 5 from the moment you meet them. And that kind of idea throughout. Like for communication, we had an awesome activity that would deal with listening and selective listening. We told the students a story where they had a penny, and every time they heard the word right, they passed the penny to the right. Every time they heard the word left, they passed the penny to the left. You had to take the penny. And the story was about the Wright family leaving on vacation. So there was a lot of right and left. And then in their packet, we asked them questions like, what were the children's names? Where was the family going? Things like that. And no one could answer the questions. So that kind of idea. And we wanted the students to think about that and then bring that back to school and be like, oh, this is how I can lead a group. I understand what's going on. I know how to reach out to you. Ideas like that. So I'm going to bring up Tessa now. She can talk a little bit about being a participant versus being a leader, and then other activities we do at North.
Hello, I'm Tessa. Just to re-emphasize what Delaney was saying, the conference was great, and we really focused on, well, at least I did, communication, which was really interesting. And usually what we do, at least what I did last year when I participated, was you went through the whole day and you went through the conference, and then at the end of the day, we all just left. And it was very interesting this year. We decided that we wanted to have a conversation and talk about what we could do at North with what we just learned the entire day. And so we got back at around 2:40, and the school day ends at 3:20. So we had a good, solid conversation about how we can bring this back to North and what we can do, and just the perspective of what the participants this year learned. And it was so interesting because we talked about what is preventing you from being a great leader at your school and at North. And a lot of them said, I'm scared to see what other people think of me if I try and stand up and do something good for our school and make change in our school and be a leader in our school, because I don't know how people are going to react. And it's easy to be a leader at this conference where it's a bunch of people you don't know and you probably will never see again. And it's easy to be yourself and be a leader with those people who are also all great leaders themselves. But then when coming back to North and being with all your friends and being with people you know and you see every day, it's a very different situation, because a lot of times it's hard to be a leader with people you see every day and people you spend your time with. So that was so interesting, and we talked about how we can break that barrier and break that down. And it was so fun because right after we had this discussion, people decided they wanted to write notes and stick them on a bunch of lockers when we had 10 minutes left. And it was just positive notes like, you're important, you are heard, you are loved, you are beautiful, things like that, just affirmations. And we just went around the whole school and put those on people's lockers. And it was just so amazing to see people, even though it was anonymous, already taking action and doing something for leadership in our school. And I know we talked about meeting again and seeing how it's going, and especially just leadership in our school starts with just saying hello and smiling at people in the hallways and doing things like that. And our school has so many leadership opportunities. I know me and Delaney have both been a part of. I'm in marching band and I'm a section captain for my section, and that's just been such a great way to lead people and take stuff that I learned from this conference back to that. I'm also in Change Makers, which I know you guys have heard about in our school, and so is Delaney. So it's so interesting seeing how all these different workshops and things we've learned about interweave, and a lot of the things we're learning it's just a stack of things we've been learning, and it just builds upon each other. And it's just been such a great experience, and this conference has really done a lot of great things in our school. So,
do you guys have any questions?
I do. Can I start? Well, first of all, I would just like to give you a compliment because I could see why communication was your focus. I mean, you guys, I don't know that I have the presence now to stand up and speak extemporaneously like you did.
Thank you.
Really, you have a great presence, and I hope you just build on that throughout your academic and whatever your life career.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. So you said that you talked about some of the strategies for being a leader when you're among your friends, which I understand why it's so much harder. So what did you come up with? What were your strategies?
So we had a group of really, really fun, outgoing students. Like on the bus ride back, we were just singing to like "I Want It That Way." So people that were ready to do that with people they didn't really know, and they were saying like it's easier for them to find times to say hi to strangers than to find times even with their friends to be like, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't do that," or "Hey, maybe we should think about it this way instead." And so we were kind of thinking ultimately that like maybe it's best to just be the person to take a tiny step in the right direction, like to be the one that just says, guys, maybe we should think about that. I mean, and just do it in a nice way, practice ways to say that in the nicest way possible. Or we talked a lot about how smiling at someone you don't normally smile at in the hallway can be weird, like if you're just like, hey. We don't want them to be freaked out. So we talked about how like gestures like that, we're worried about being judged, but like we really don't need to be, because if we do it in the right way, so if we're like, hey, what's up, and less of creepy. If we do it less creepy and more, we practice kind of ideas like that. We talked about doing things anonymously ultimately, which would mean you won't be judged because no one's gonna know who's doing it. So doing the notes, we had a group of such excitable students that were like, we gotta do this now. Like it had to be done at that second. And we were like, all right.
We're like, Post-its, Sharpies, okay, let's go.
We just got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it was talking about like doing anonymous things and then being the people that just take the small steps. So focus on the tiny steps that will lead to eventually bigger actions.
Yeah.
And did you get any feedback from the people you left Post-it notes for?
No.
I have not heard anything. I did see a guy open his locker and he had a note. He seemed happy. I'm not sure if it was because of the note, but
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. Yeah, it was
we'll just say that it was.
because of the note.
Just go with that.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask, does anybody know what the 3 C's of leadership
I
are?
was wondering that too.
I was gonna ask.
Anybody?
communication.
So I'm not the only idiot here?
Okay.
Character is one of them.
Courage.
And compassion. Compassion.
Not
yeah.
communication.
Compassion.
Yeah.
Courage.
I mean, communication is
That's the
important.
fourth.
Important.
Yeah.
That was a whole
That's the
separate
overarching
workshop.
thing.
But yeah,
Yeah.
courage, communication,
And character.
Courage,
character, and compassion.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, it is easy to be a leader when you're going along with the popular view, but
Right? Yeah.
Any other questions? I'll just give you one of my favorite quotes. I've heard this attributed to Maya Angelou, but I've heard it attributed to like 10 other people, so I don't really know.
Pick one.
People rarely remember what you give them. People rarely remember what you say, but people always will remember how you made them feel.
Exactly.
So I bet those Post-it notes went over better than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
We plan on doing it again. Too,
Yeah,
so.
I was walking out of school and I saw one of our awesome teacher sponsors who had driven us to the extracurricular times and things like that. She was amazing, Miss Farasco. And she was like, hey, we emailed Mr. Mandola, our student activity. You guys know him.
Yeah.
He's the best. And we were like planning on making this a thing and like giving this group a name and maybe working anonymously on things like Post-it notes and doing these nice things in the holidays. And like we talked about doing like encouraging notes and like giving, what are they called? When you can buy like a nice favor for someone on Valentine's Day, but it would be like a friend's thing. Candy grams.
Yeah.
And doing it anonymously as a group, just for people. So the idea is like that, kind of that idea.
Well, maybe you guys will start a trend.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. That's the goal. Yeah.
Anything else?
Questions?
Well, thank you. And take that energy and put it out in the world.
Will do. Okay.
Bye. You can stay.
You don't have to leave.
I've been dissed before. Wow, were they not like incredible?
Of course they are.
I know they're incredible, but I'm just always amazed at the presence some of these younger people have. I would never have been able to. Yeah. Of course, we were also of a different generation.
Yes, this is true.
Chromebook introduction?
No, no.
Oh,
Student
board.
You're
Oh,
in the wrong
excuse. I'm on the wrong board meeting. No wonder I'm having
We did
trouble.
crumble.
Oh, Chromebook. Nice to meet you. Haley?
Speaking of our amazing students, Haley is up.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Also from our change makers, they hosted an event called A Place at the Table recently, where students were invited to go during lunch and talk about equity at our school. And a group of students had a great conversation about diversity and like issues they have at our school about this. I wasn't there personally, but I heard that it was a good conversation. Students also, this is a different subject, produced a 3-act comedy play right before Thanksgiving break. I didn't go to this either, but everyone that went said it was hilarious. Also, for sports, our girls' swim team went to state before Thanksgiving, and many of our swimmers placed. That officially was like the last fall sport event. And overall, there's no general complaints or any concerns I've heard, so that's what's happened. Yeah.
Do you happen to know what the outcome of the equity discussion was?
I'm not sure. I think the change makers are probably going to get back together and talk about it and see what we can do to change, but I'm not sure exactly like any specific points, but I'll come back next time with that.
Yeah, have your ear peaked for
Yeah.
me, please.
They have a field trip on Wednesday.
Cool beans. Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, moving on. The 2020-21 curriculum proposals and changes.
All right, Gina showed it.
Okay, so very excited. We have 3 new courses proposed for next year. One coming from science, one coming from physical education, and one from CTE. We also have a few changes that we'd like to share with the board tonight. Our department chairs are going to present on each of the new courses, and then I'll work through some of the changes. So we're going to start with science.
I want to take this course.
I'm sure you may recall from last year, Karen Etter, who is our department chair at South High School, and Mike Hines, who's our department chair at North High School.
Okay, you can flip to the next one then. So we were here last year to talk to you guys about the Project Lead the Way biomedical science pathway. There are 4 courses in the sequence, and it's different than the engineering pathway that we offer for students in the CTE department. And so thanks to your approval, we've given students the opportunity to take Principles of Biomedical Science. We're running it 3 sections at both campuses. We started the year at a crime scene because Anna Garcia died. She's a fictional character, so nobody's really hurt. But since then, our students have been able to already accomplish the tasks that are outlined on this next slide, right? So they're having experiences in this course that they don't have in other courses, even though some of the content overlaps, because the storyline related to trying to solve the Anna Garcia case allows students to kind of partake in this, what it's like to engage in career fields in the biomedical sciences. So thank you for supporting this and giving our students that opportunity. We have a number of non-senior students in both the sections that we offer at South and at North, and what we're here proposing tonight is that, or we're requesting tonight, is your approval at the second of the course sequences in this pathway. And so that's human body systems.
So what we see human body systems as the next iteration in the Project Lead the Way pathway. When we first started looking at this, and I said this last year, I wasn't a big fan of adding more of this in, but when I saw it, and Karen, we went over to Addison Trail to see this in action, I was like, how fast can we get this to happen? So if we look at the human body systems as being the really the problem solving that goes along with an anatomy and physiology class, it's taking those kids that we have in the Principles of Biomedical Science. We've opened up more opportunities to more students, and now we want to refine that work for them. We want them to take their knowledge and their analysis to a deeper level, and we think the human body systems is one way to do that. It's a pathway for that. And so this is what we're requesting of the board this year, is to help us with the second year of this pathway.
Can I just, why does it not meet graduation requirements?
That's my question too.
If you go back a slide, it says it does not meet the 99 graduation requirements.
Right, so the state of Illinois requires 2 lab sciences for students, and so our students enter taking biology, and then many of our students take chemistry after that, and that satisfies the graduation requirement. So all of these are elective classes. Project Lead the Way classes are an exploratory option for students to look into things like engineering or the biomedical sciences and explore what careers in those fields would look like. If they're pursuing a STEM a career in a STEM field, then we also want them to take all the math and science that they can squeeze into their schedule that allows them to pursue that at a higher level than at the high school level. So this is an elective pathway. It's not a replacement for those science courses that students typically take. Yeah. Does that address your
Yes, thank you. I forgot.
I have a question. In the engineering side, some of those classes can be taken in different orders. You don't have to go boom, 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 boom. Is this the traditional second class, or did you choose this one to be the second class in the order sequence?
Yeah. This is the suggested pathway from Project Lead the Way. We've learned from some other schools that offer these classes that, Gina, can you go back 2 slides, please? That oftentimes students who are in the honors level track are successful with this being the first course in this sequence because the principles of biomedical science really introduce students to this process of problem-based learning and the storyline of solving a case and addressing case files and managing an autopsy report and a medical history report and things like that. The schools that we have met with say that students who are taking honors classes kind of fall, like they're more easily adaptable in that alternate setting, right? So the second of the sequence is recommended by Project Lead the Way. Again, without having taught it, it's hard to decide how many alternate pathways we can offer.
Right.
But that would be something we would look into as we see how students express interest in and register for the class.
Well, with 3 sections, you'll probably lose some, but you still have an avenue for some of them to progress.
We think
I would
so.
think. Yeah. With 3, I think you'll definitely have enough.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you'll still be offering the first principles again next year?
Yes. Yeah. So our students seem to be enjoying it.
Will start to grow.
There's a nice buzz about it.
Yeah, good.
You guys know that historically we've had a lot of students interested in the anatomy and physiology courses that we offer on both sides of town. And a lot of students express interest in this field. So we'll continue to offer it, and as long as students express an interest and find
if the numbers are there,
it to be a valuable learning experience, then that'll be a nice opportunity for our students to just kind of have available to them.
Well, and you put all the NCIS stuff aside. This is more like actual medicine and public health and anatomy and physiology. My only thing I don't like about this course is I can't take it.
Help audit it.
I do.
It's all about you. It's all about Nancy.
All about Nancy. It's all about Nancy.
That's okay. I want to take the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, the next.
We can meet for lunch.
Yeah.
I liked what it went through, what the girl said earlier. If you're talking about communication and leadership and inclusion, really we're seeing a wider range of students in there. It meets right what those kids are doing outside the classroom. It just brings that experience to a greater level inside the classrooms.
Cool. Very cool. I think we made you skip a slide, though.
Any other questions?
You got your
Back a slide.
You want to go back?
Did you need us? Okay.
I was just talking more about the course and summarized it.
Ms. Kupka, that's what you'll do when you take the course.
This will do? I'm ready.
Any other questions for Karen?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you.
All right, we are proposing a course out of PE, Health and Driver Education, and we have our department chair, Scott Lange, who is from Downer South, and Courtney White from North, who will share information about this new course.
Good afternoon. Good evening. It's been a long day.
that kind of day.
It has been that kind of day. It's my birthday, actually. So.
Yeah, that is.
Thank you.
What a way.
28. 28. It's a good year. So we're excited about this new course. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been here 9. Scott's been here 11. When I got here, we started working to try and really get both sides of town somewhat in line with each other, so that there's one common experience. I kind of put that in there. But we've been working on that even before it became a thing in the district. So now that we've gotten there, we're trying to get to the point where we have classes offered for our students to have opportunities to not only apply the skills that they've learned, but also have an opportunity to make some money to do that. And so sports officiating is one of the courses that we found that is going to be able to do that. So the typical course sequence, they have to go through P1, P2, Health Drive Red, that type of thing to get there. It's a junior-senior elective course. Gina, can you go one more slide for me? Oh, boy. Questions?
Okay.
How was it?
I think that was like CTE questions.
There you go.
Ready?
One more slide.
Again.
One more slide. There you go. So it's in line with what we're trying to do to create opportunities for students to be able to go out and actually gain experience and also get paid. At the end of this course, students will have the opportunity to possibly become an IHSA official. You have to be 17 years old to be able to take that certification exam. One thing that we've noticed talking to both athletic directors on both sides of town is that the officiating crew, regardless of the sports that are being played, officiating crews are getting a little senior, if you will. So they're really looking for.
But I want to take this class.
You can take this class too. It's more than welcome.
I might be close to senior.
You know what? As long as you can do some problem solving, you'll be okay. So, but there's definitely a need for officials in all areas. So this will give them that opportunity. We visited Evanston Township High School. We visited Lyons Township. We visited Lockport, and all of them said in order to run this course, for this course to be successful, you have to have a really good relationship with your park district. So we met with the park district, and Scott's going to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we met with Downers Grove Park District. We've tried to meet with Woodridge a few times. It just hasn't worked out. We still plan on doing that and building that relationship as well. But we met with Downers Grove Park District, and they could not be more excited about this course and giving them some students that can actually come out and help officiate. Originally, we had some plans of some different types of activities and sports we'd like to have in this course, but after meeting with the Downers Grove Park District, they gave us what activities they really need officials for. Thank you. That's that slide. So flag football and football was not one that we originally had on the list, but there's a big demand for that right now. And then basketball, soccer, and then also baseball and softball. So the plan is, and we kind of got this from LT, is that the students will be able to take this course, and then Courtney and I will be in communication with Downers Grove Park District and be able to share names of kids once they've met the criteria and passed the rules and stuff for these courses. And then they can contact us back and say, hey, we need this many officials for basketball. Please let the kids on this list know, and we can start getting that out to them. But they do not need to be IHSA patched to do this. But if they do that, when they go and do park district stuff, there is an increase in their fee that they get paid if they do have an IHSA patch. So.
Oh, I was going to say that it'll be a good opportunity going back to leadership. I want to teach the kids that as well, but I remember being in sports with my daughter who was 9 years old. A lot of the parents were very.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be an opportunity to teach the kids, because this could be a pretty tough but demanding and good experience role.
Good point. Absolutely.
Of the parents.
Absolutely. And Gina, if you went back, and that was one thing that we wanted to make sure was part of this course. We will talk to them about effective communication strategies and conflict resolution for that purpose. Because I myself have had my children in sports, and I've seen those parents as well. So not me. I was never that one. No. Not you. Any questions?
Like to see you make that strong connection with Woodridge Park District as well, and then maybe Darien as well. I mean, we have several communities that feed into it, but I think those three would be the largest.
And Westmont.
Yeah,
Westmont is pretty.
I know Bolingbrook was another one that we'd plan on reaching out to. We have some. Yes, that's the goal, is to start making those
connections.
Yes.
I do want to just recognize the fact that this is in line almost every year for the last 4 years. We've brought a course that comes with some kind of certification or post-high school skill set that it aligns with the work we're doing, and this is right in line with that.
Really a good thing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So the last new course that we're proposing is from Career and Technical Education, and we have 2 new department chairs for CTE. Patrick Fardy, who is the department chair at Downers South, and Melissa Damewood, who's at Downers North. And they're information about a new course called Internships.
Good evening, everyone. So they decided to throw us in the fire immediately our first year, so hopefully we'll do all right. No, we're very excited to come forward and request to have the internship class for next year. the CTE area has had a growing focus on different career pathways for students to take. And we believe that this course will allow students to really find a specific career field that they have a particular interest in and be able to go out and learn specific skills that can be addressed within those specific career pathways. So our goal is for students to, find, for us to partner the students in with a specific business and them to be able to go out, get 4 hours on average of internship experience per week, which equals out to about the number of hours they'd be sitting in a classroom during a week's time. And for them to be able to get those kind of valuable workplace experiences, those specific skills that they're interested in that they wouldn't necessarily be able to get in the classroom, within the classroom walls. It doesn't necessarily have to be within just the CTE field. Obviously, we've gained some valuable partnerships with different companies in the CTE field, teachers with different engineering firms. But if a student had an interest in biomedical field and they wanted to do an internship at a company and related there, if there's potentially a local hospital that we can create a partnership with, and they can go and volunteer their time there during the week, those are the types of partnerships that we want to make for students. So,
Yeah. Sorry, my voice is coming and going today, so Pat was nice enough to start out for us. But what I'd want you to know is I have a background in this, an internship from the other district I've been at. I feel really solid and excited about this. It's a little different as far as how it would look in a student's schedule. It is a blended class, meaning they would only meet once a week, and they'd meet either before school or maybe after school or during their lunches with their teacher. They would complete the rest of those assignments virtually online, which is different for us, but exciting. It's definitely for a student, junior or senior, who's self-motivated, self-directed. They would go ahead and tell us what they want. And what's exciting about that is that we get to individualize each student's experience. So the student who wants healthcare gets healthcare. The student who wants to try out business gets business. Lots of different opportunities for that child to experience different jobs. And admittedly, a really nice outcome of this is for our students, the ones that are deciding to maybe between careers. Right now with colleges, a lot of you know, colleges will ask you to pick a major, sometimes a very specific one. You now just don't even pick engineering, you have to pick mechanical engineering, civil engineering. This allows them to have a taste without it coming with a financial obligation. They don't make money at the internship site. It is volunteerism in a sense, but they do get all the experience. We have found in my previous role, a lot of our students who do internships have a nice elevated opportunity for scholarships, for getting into certain highly motivated majors, careers, areas like that. But it also can be an internship for students who are maybe deciding between a union apprenticeship and between maybe community college. And they're saying, well, which is the best path? We can set them up in an internship for that as well. So our goal is that every student's outcome, they get a taste. They get a taste of what that outcome could look like.
Nice. Any questions?
So now, is that a one semester?
It's one semester, but it's repeatable. So it's not atypical for a student to start out maybe as a junior, do a semester of an internship, and then say, oh, you know what? I don't like this at all. Or I really like this aspect instead. Could I try this again? Or perhaps, which can be another great outcome, they do it for the semester. That job site says, wow, I got a full semester of the great person. I didn't know how much I was going to love this student. I'm going to hire them. And now they get hired and they could do it that way as well. So we have a lot of potential positive outcomes, and that's why we don't put a lid on how often they can take it.
Well, I guess I was also saying if that student was interested in engineering, but they went into civil engineering, and then they decided, you know what, really, mechanical engineering would be a better thing.
Right.
Could I, second semester, go
Absolutely.
mechanical engineering site?
Yeah, in general, we want them to do it for the one semester. So whatever they're picking, we want them to do it. However, we're certainly going to work with them. I've had situations where a student came to me and said, I thought for sure I wanted nursing, and I saw what they do. They did an IV, and I'm done. Like what? Like I'm done. I can't do it. I watched Grey's Anatomy for 4 years, and I thought for sure, because of Meredith Grey, she makes it look so easy. So there are special circumstances where, of course, once again, individualized. We're going to work with that student and get them what they need. But in general, overall, we're hoping that the student stays in the same place for the semester.
I have a question. Because it's initially volunteer.
It is.
Are they able to use this for community service?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it depends. So once again, specific to the situation, but I know for a fact that students who do internships are considered very desirable by scholarships, by areas that maybe would want community service on a resume. This looks good to a lot of people on a lot of layers.
Okay.
So I was going to bring this, I apologize because I thought I had my notes with me and I don't.
Oh, not at all.
But at the Illinois Association of School Boards meeting, I went to a presentation that was given by the Illinois State Board, and they were talking about some new funding for innovative programs in CTE, and I meant to bring those materials, and I neglected to do so, but I will get them to you. I don't know if this would qualify, but it might be something you want to look into.
That is, I think it's the same thing we're talking about, and Gina and I actually have been talking about this. We did get information on that. I'm really interested in that, and I know Gina and I, second semester, it's on our agenda, but please
drop off
send those. Yeah, we'd love to see those materials.
And I've got to contact Marcy Johnson.
Oh, I know Marcy.
Yeah. So they really are trying to expand.
They are, and it's a great. I think we're talking about the same thing, and I know what you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Starts with a P, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I think PWR. Pretty sure. Well, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes, I have a couple. One, logistical question.
Sure.
So they've got to arrange for their own transportation.
They do. Yeah.
And the time to get there and get back, are they also having to miss another hour of?
Sorry, let me clarify that. So their internship is not during the academic day. It would be outside of that academic day. So that's why it's 4 hours. So it could be at night, like 2 nights a week for 2 hours each. It could be all day on a Saturday for 4 hours on a Saturday. We have lots of students and lots of great activities and events, and we celebrate that. Internship specifically is trying to work with that student so that it can be when they want. So for example, I had one, it was a law firm, and they said they would do 1 night a week where the kids could come for 4 hours on a Thursday night. So we did help them with transportation as far as we got out the train schedules together, we talked with mom and dad, we figured out how they could all go in a group so that was safe, who would meet them at the, and all those logistics. So we certainly worked that all out to make sure the students felt good with the public transportation, and they were still able to do that and still be a part of band and choir and all the other amazing things we have here in the district.
Then the other question is, looking at these individual internships, how do you make sure that the internship that's being offered is really going to be something beneficial to the student as opposed to it being busy work or something like that?
Yeah, so this whole year, we are working really hard to make those community partnerships. And with that being said, my plug, if any of you would like to be a part of that experience, we would really, really appreciate that. And so we're working real hard on that. And then that's where our staff comes in. We have amazing staff who is going to work at vetting all of those experiences. And then in addition to that, their job will also be, in a sense, coaching those internship sites, making sure it's not just, a labor situation, that it's actually a mentoring, a modeling, nurturing, growing situation, working with that mentor. In general, our business community partnerships want to create great learning opportunities for kids. That is what they want. They might need a little help, a little hand-holding on what that looks like, sounds like, but ultimately, I have not experienced a place that didn't want that, but they maybe needed help on how to get there. So our internship teachers not only are teaching our kids, they are also sometimes teaching our community partnerships about what that can look like, sound like.
So there's probably, I'm imagining there's probably some sort of, initially going into it, some sort of learning goals that you're hoping to gain
Absolutely.
out of the internship.
Yeah.
And then some sort of analysis at the end of it done by both the student and the mentor.
Absolutely. The site would help to evaluate, the teacher and the student would do a lot of self-reflection as well.
So how do the partners solicit you guys, and how do you solicit partners? If someone's watching or have business that they would want to
So once it's official, then wink, wink. Wink, wink. Once it's official, then we will certainly start advertising that. We've already been reaching out to our parents club. I was lucky enough with Jill to attend Chamber 630. We're going to attend that other chamber. And then like today, I did something I like to call cold calling. So I did a little cold calling this afternoon after my lovely meeting with Gina. And so we'll continue to do that. I know the hospital is big on our list. Good Sam. Yeah. We know that in general there's going to be tons of kids right along with our medical pathway that are going to want to go into health sciences. So we're going to be doing some door opening there as well. But you're right. It definitely is this whole year. We're gonna definitely put in some steps, right?
And I think that we've been fortunate that we've been building, last couple of years, been building an advisory board for our department. So different people within the business community and community firms in the area. So that's also been a help. I think as students start, as kind of Melissa alluded to, as students start giving us information about what those specific career pathways are that they're interested in, we can really target, places to contact and what we're looking for to make those partnerships for them. So
I know this has been a topic at the chamber meetings for the last couple of years, them business members asking for more of these opportunities. So I don't think we're going to have a trouble drumming up businesses that want to help us out.
Thank you. So we have a few changes as well. Course title changes we always bring to the board, and we have two. I didn't ask the department chairs.
Thank you, chairs, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
For everything. We have two title changes. One coming out of our math department. We would like to change the name of discrete mathematics to preparation for quantitative literacy. It would not be a new course. We have done some revision to this course. This is our transition math course with COD. It's actually one of two for this current year and last year, and moving forward it will be the transition math class with COD. So we're basically in partnership with the College of DuPage. We meet the criteria in terms of content that needs to be taught in the course. If students earn a particular second semester grade, as well as a score on ALEX, which is a computer program, they matriculate directly into credit-bearing courses. And we did have some success with this, substantial success with this, in fact, last year. We do believe that the name is truly what the course is doing, preparing students for quantitative literacy. Discrete math, students, the name doesn't work with the course. So we feel that this would better align to the courses that they would then go into. Many of these students do matriculate to COD.
If I remember right, too, this is kind of responsive to some of the history we've had with COD, with our students going there and then having to repeat math classes because COD wasn't recognizing things that we did
Absolutely.
here. And this was a way to address that situation so that the students could move forward.
I'm working with COD on this to try to get here for 11 years.
Yes.
And the last couple years have been fantastic.
That is,
and really, we've come a long way in the last 2 years. And,
Right.
and really complimenting Dr. Thiele and the area superintendents who really pushed hard and provided just insight and guidance. And I think we're in a really good place.
Excellent.
Right now. We take the students out there, just, you might find this interesting, we take the students out to COD, where they take one of the ALEX tests there. We do a tour of the campus. I went with the students, one group of students last year. We have a math teacher from COD who actually comes on campus, both north and south, and meets with students and talks about it. So we really have been all in. It's also part of ESSA, as you may recall from all those wonderful presentations I did. Too.
Well, they took copious notes. So I'm
They
sure
did.
they remember.
Yep. I sleep with them.
No, this is a great
So-
this is great success, and I'm really glad we're doing it. And I can remember several years ago just we were frustrated. So it's
We're in
just
a
really
good
great.
place now.
I think it's great. I have a kind of a goofy question, though. Why don't they just call it preparation for college math? I mean, do students know what quantitative literacy means?
Students will not necessarily know what quantitative literacy is, but we also have college algebra, and we didn't want to confuse titles.
I got it.
We actually went through about 3 or 4 that we gave serious consideration to, and then we wanted to be careful not to confuse it with any of the other math courses that we run. And students will abbreviate this. They'll call it Quantlit, I'm sure. And then the other courses, actually 2 courses, come out of our World Language Department, and the courses right now are Spanish for Native Speakers 1 and 2, and we're recommending changing the title to Spanish for Heritage Speakers 1 and 2. Again, not new courses. They have been on the books for years. We have not run the courses in years due to low enrollment. We have begun working more towards that. We've actually heard from parents that they would really like to see us run the course. So we are going to make a concerted effort. We have a new teacher, she's new this year, who has taught the course in another district, so she brings with her some expertise. And the courses, yes, they are for native speakers, but they're also for heritage speakers. They're for students who were not necessarily born in a Spanish-speaking country. They may have been born here, in fact.
Been on for a while.
I've never.
Is equipment that went?
So we Spanish for because it really is about students who may speak the language at home. They may have family members who speak the language that they, converse with. They culturally are tied to Spanish, but are not necessarily native. Doesn't mean that native speakers couldn't sign up for the course. Absolutely, absolutely. But we do believe that Heritage Speakers is a better title. It's a more current title. Many schools have changed the title.
Okay.
And so that's why we're requesting that. And then, while we don't necessarily, or I can't remember a time we brought prerequisite or co-requisite changes to the board, I think we're doing some exciting work in science, not just with the Human Body Systems course and obviously what we're doing with the Principles of Biomedical this year, but we do have a 2-year graduation requirement. That's both in the district and the state of Illinois requires 2 years of a lab science. And we would like to remove the physics as a prerequisite or co-requisite for 3 of our courses. Biology 2, research topics in earth science, and anatomy and physiology. Currently, the way it is set up is to take those 3 courses, you must first take physics. And so some students will just take the 2-year requirement and be done. They've met the requirement. Some students will go on and take physics, or they can take the biomedical courses, Principles of Biomedical or Human Body Systems. But if they want to take these 3 courses or any of our AP offerings, they either have to be currently enrolled in the course or have taken physics. The one exception would be with our advanced placement environmental science, where they could take it as a sophomore and be duly enrolled in chemistry. So there is that one exception. But we have 3 courses. We think this will provide opportunities for students. We are still recommending physics, and our counselors are very good about meeting with students to decide their pathway, whether it's college, careers, both, whatever the case may be. We've done some research to see which schools require certain courses, and what we have found in the schools that our students mostly go to, very few are actually saying you have to have physics. They do in some cases. One school said if you're going into nursing, you need to have biology, chemistry, and physics. And even in engineering, some of the schools do not necessarily require physics. That said, if we have students who are going into engineering, I suspect they're going to be taking physics. And we do recommend it for our college-bound, obviously, students. So those are just some exciting changes in science, in addition to the new course being proposed.
Gina, when you were discussing this, I'm sure you did talk to the physics teachers. What's the projected hit on them?
We do not anticipate much of a hit on it. We currently have some students who we will allow to take these courses without meeting the prerequisite. And we may see if we have some, but these are not huge courses for us. Biology 2 and our science topic, or research topics in our science are not huge courses. Anatomy and physiology is a big course for us, but we're seeing more students going towards the biomedical now because we have that pathway, and we do not require it for that either. The principles of biomedical, it's not required for, and human body systems, it's not required for. Other questions about the name changes or the courses, or exciting time? Really is exciting.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Summer school?
All right, we're going to switch over to summer school. Rob's here to talk about, we'll go right from one to the other. One is the report and recommendations, and then next into the summer calendar.
Good evening, everyone. This is a bit strange, not being able to hear myself through the speaker here. So yes, we're here tonight. As a reminder, every year we bring a report to the board about the previous summer's summer school, and then after that bring some recommendations for the upcoming summer school. So I'm really here to introduce the main show for tonight, Tim Tilton, who's the brains out behind the operation and the real leader. So Tim's going to talk to you a bit about summer school this past summer.
Thank you. Happy to once again report that we had a successful summer program in summer of 2019. I'd like to give a few of the highlights here. As many of you know, summer school is comprised of basically 3 main categories. The academic program, the driver's ed program, and then our credit recovery program. I'll talk about the academic program first. And this year we worked with 264 individual students throughout the classes. We were, again, able to install paraprofessionals in all math classes in order to have additional assistance and smaller staff to student ratios. We were able to offer all the standard core courses of English 1 through 4, Math 1 through 3, and Foundations of Math, a biology class also. And then happy to report that consumer education came back into the mix. And for a number of years, we weren't able to have enough students to run this class. And this year, we were able to find a good batch. And even though it wasn't a humongous class, we wanted to, again, make course offerings that allowed summer school to be a flexible initiative for some certain students to be able to help with their schedules throughout the rest of their 4-year remaining years in high school. We had, once again, freshman bridge program for incoming freshmen that could be benefited from preparing for the rigors of math and English together. We, again, offered our Keys to Academic Success. That class has been growing every year now. which is a class that is open for all levels of students that are interested in increasing their study skills, organizational skills, note-taking, reading strategies, etc., in order to do better in any type of class. And then some increased, if our science department chairs were here, I'd give them a high five, but they are leading the pack as far as course offerings for enrichment during summer school in order to prepare students for some of the AP offerings. So again, they offered AP Chemistry prep, the AP Physics prep, and then a new one, AP Biology prep this past year, where 14 students took advantage of that new course offering in order to get ready for the upcoming, this current year's AP Biology experience. And English department is now getting into the mix with a new course offering, kind of a pilot program of honors freshman prep class, where incoming freshmen who are taking honors English for the first time to get ready to be prepared for the rigors of that particular class. Moving on to our driver's ed program, 55 students worked with us this year, and again, as usual, we were able to administer a state behind-the-wheel waiver test for students that qualified for that. And our credit recovery program, again, 2 sessions for flexibilities for students' schedules, as well as students who are taking classes in the regular summer school program were then still able to utilize the credit recovery program after their 8 to 2 o'clock course or day, where, and then we had 43 students completed 61 different classes, and thankfully 5 students who normally would not have been able to graduate were able to finish their high school diploma through this program. So once again, it was a great combined effort, especially in the midst of all the construction dust. There was a big shout out to the buildings and grounds crew and the construction company, and there was a lot going on there, and really summer school barely noticed. We didn't miss out on much at all. So I've been assured that this upcoming year in South will be seamless. With a few things that are going on there, but so and all the departments that contributed, we appreciate it too. So in a moment, Rob Lane will summarize the recommendations, but before that, is there any questions that I can answer for you at this time?
Yeah, I'm sorry, maybe you said this and I missed it. Sure. What was would you guess what was the average class size for some of the students who came in for enrichment? For either enrichment and or recovery.
Right. So the enrichment classes, I would say we had, well, I actually have the numbers here. So 14 students were in the AP Biology, 9 students in the AP Prep, and 19 students in the AP Chem Prep. And a lot of times it has to do with the number of sections that are already set for this upcoming year as far as the number of students that are usually available for that experience. But yeah, so, and this is about the, right, about the same every year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so our recommendations for this upcoming summer, we're on the cycle now where we come to you and ask for the increase in the stipend to be tied to CPI. So CPI for this past year was 1.9%. So you'll see at the end of the report, we're requesting that the teacher stipend move from $2,995 to $3,052 per semester. That's a 1.9% increase. And then the director stipend to move from $9,395 to $9,574 for both semesters. Again, an increase in those by CPI. We are not asking for an increase in tuition for students because we had a 5% increase last year. That was after a few years of not having an increase. So we're not asking for an increase in tuition this year. And then the last thing is the recommendation for the calendar for next summer. So that's sort of a dual request there. One is our work calendar, and then layered on top of that is the summer school calendar. So those two pieces at play there.
So there is an increase though for out-of-district students, or did I miss?
Out-of-district students, yeah.
Did we have one for I'm sorry.
It went from $400
yes.
to $420.
No. Yes, yes.
It says.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. But because we increased for in-district last year, we didn't really need it.
No, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, Gina, I'm going to try to say this as nice as I can. I notice again, tonight we came to the board and asked us to drop the physics requirement for some of these elective classes, but yet we still fail to offer any student to get advanced through a summer school program.
Well, that's not accurate, because last year we did offer consumer education to open up space.
You can
in the
take that
student
online,
schedule.
though. You don't have to take that here.
And we had very little enrollment. We've already said we're not expanding the curricular offerings until after the construction is done, because we're not looking
Are we
to
even going to
expand
consider
the
that?
size of our
'Cause
summer school.
For 6 years, I've been asking, and for 6 years, I've been seeing the same,
Right, and as
same
soon
old
as we're
stuff.
done with the construction, we will reevaluate that.
With the honest reevaluation, or is it just words?
Rick, have I ever not given you an honest
I know, but I just,
approach?
the fact that now we're willing to drop physics, and we still offer no
Not
option.
dropping physics, we're opening.
You're dropping the prereq for those
Right,
classes.
but you're opening for more science options. You're not removing that prereq so kids can go take social science,
No, but you could also offer an avenue through summer school to advance also.
which we will examine after we're done with the construction and we know that we have space to run those courses in our schools over the summer, which is what I've been telling the board for the last 2 years, is we've been looking, and we're not going to expand it and then not have the space to offer it or a safe environment to offer an expanded summer school.
Right.
So after we're done with construction, we will reevaluate that. We'll see if students are interested in taking those courses, and if they are, we'll run them.
I think it makes a lot of sense, Rick. You know, I mean, because with everything that's going on at the schools in the summertime, it's
This is not a time to look to expand summer school.
It's kind of
But we
crazy.
weren't building 4 years ago.
No, we
Or
weren't.
3 or 5, 6 years ago.
Well, that
we
was
weren't,
true.
you know, so.
I hear you. And
We did have schools open 6 years ago, and 5 years ago, and 4 years ago.
Sure.
To the full extent of the school.
Right, but
We did have no projects going, and we.
but I wasn't here to answer
Even
that
3 years ago,
request.
we weren't breaking ground on anything.
I know, but we were not looking to expand summer school, knowing that
I just,
all of
I get
this
upset,
construction was coming.
the fact that we're willing to open the door by loosening requirements instead of also offering a way to take those requirements, I guess. It'd be nice to do both ways.
But is your concern specifically physics, or is it just?
No, like.
We keep running at about
Maybe offer
30%
biology in the summer, and then that would get a year ahead in science to then open up that
We offered
pathway.
biology
Or,
last year.
you know, or, honors bio. So they could then take maybe honors chem and then progress. Although we do offer students to mix between honors and 300.
We do.
But I think the pathway from honors chem to AP chem would be, but with the bridge. But I guess it's like, it seems our focus for summer school is.
It's been credit recovery.
It's credit recovery,
For a very
repeat.
long
For a long
time.
time.
Yes, yeah. And
I
since
think
I've
we
been
could do
here,
so
I've
much
told you,
more.
We'll look at it, Rick, but it's not, it is not a prudent thing to do to look to expand summer school when our facilities are just so limited as this major construction projects are underway.
Yeah, because you definitely want a safe environment for those students,
Yeah.
and especially at South High with doing the auditorium, you know, that's going to put the students at risk to be in the science department.
And the size of our
Be
summer school was limited just based on air-conditioned facilities in the past as well.
Right, we haven't had air at North.
Right, which is now, that restriction has been removed. So at the end of all of this work will be the time to survey our parents, survey our kids, find out what they'd be interested in. And we're dedicated to doing all that work, but we need to make it through these next 2 crazy summers of work before we do that.
So to address Rick's question, which has been coming up every year, would it be possible to at least have a draft kind of calendar that says, we'll start surveying, like just the point you just made, but so we don't get it lost. We'll start surveying our parents in 2021 or 2022, whatever we anticipate would be the right time with the build.
Because they'd have to think in grade school. that summer, okay, maybe I forego a family vacation because my son or daughter is going to be in biology for that summer because I want them to get 1 year ahead so that they can take all these electives we're offering. It's going to be discussion, and I bet you're not going to get 5, 6 sections, but I bet you'd get one. I bet you'd get at least one.
2022 21-22 school year would be the year where we'd survey it, in the fall, find out what people.
And you'd have to talk to the department chairs of science too.
And I met with
yeah, and the
and I've met
teachers.
with them.
You would. You'd
I-
have to.
Yeah, I've met with them, and
But that would be
we've
the
talked
year
through.
we'd be targeting to do this kind of work.
So could we maybe sketch out some major milestones for doing a needs assessment along those lines? I mean, you're talking about them, obviously you've thought about them.
Yeah, I'm not saying offer AP Chem in the summer. I'm not going there, but I'm just, some of those gateway entry-level classes, just to get off the books, to get to the next level and open up all these other classes
This
we're offering.
presentation in December of '21, that we'd be coming to the board with what the feedback on that.
I'd rather have those discussions than saying, okay, we're just not going to have, we'll lax physics. You don't need physics now as a prereq. I would like to have both avenues open, I guess.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I think they're two separate avenues.
Yeah.
One is actually expanding it because physics.
More opportunities for students.
Yeah, it's more opportunities for students if you're not interested.
At the
or you're
cost of
afraid,
physics,
or
though.
you have.
Well, not necessarily. We have a group of students because we only have a 2-year
Yeah.
requirement. They take, well, we have a couple of groups,
Yeah.
but some.
Physics is still an
biology,
important class to
chemistry,
take.
And then they don't take anything.
Yeah.
In some cases. Some students will come in and take bio, physical science, and then not take anything. So
Right.
we are hoping that group, through either the biomedical courses that we just talked about,
You would pull them in.
others, that we would pull them in, that will actually increase the number of students. Because
I
what we're
get you on
hearing
that.
from the colleges
But I'm wondering if
too-
you're going to lose some of the other ones, because now I don't have to take physics, I'll take these other
But
engineering.
the kids that are
these
taking physics now are choosing to. It's not.
Right, it's
not a graduation.
At the 300 level?
Yes, it's not a
They
graduation
take
requirement.
biology, then they take chemistry, and now
Yeah,
they're done
But
with
maybe they're taking the 300 to get to the classes that they really want to take senior year too.
Some cases. they
Some
might.
cases, sure.
You know,
So there definitely, I mean, makes sense that there would be a little bit of a drop-off, but the hope is, in terms of going into physics, but the hope is that there will be kids who would have just stopped, who will now go, oh, since I don't
Maybe I can
have-
take another class.
Right, I could
Third year of
continue. in
no,
the-
I get that.
third
I
year
get
of-
that. You're opening up, yeah.
I'm excited about what we might be able to do with summer school in the future
I hope
because
so.
of what our
Yeah.
facilities allow. And I mean, I had an issue with a daughter, my current junior, who's, when she was first coming in, and we would have liked to done something more with her for math coming in, but didn't really want her to be in the, credit makeup group taking a math, we wanted her to be in a class, it was the focus of what it is and why we're doing what we're doing has a potential to change somewhat. I think there's going to be need to be that credit recovery piece to this. That's not going away. But the opportunity to do some more things, I think is exciting, and I think that I don't know. We've talked about it before.
Allow us to do that now.
Yeah. So I'll be right there with you. We're not going to forget about it.
I hope not.
So, yeah.
So,
December 21.
There we go.
I had to ask. I've asked every year, so.
I know.
Ready, Rick?
So.
But it's a good thing you ask, and it's a good thing to keep everybody on point.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you've thought a lot about it. It'd be nice to sketch it out so we had a better idea of the time frame about when those things would, even though granted they'll be in the future. And that also gives you the opportunity to give some thought to maybe talking with some of the elementary districts, which I know you do routinely. Why is it COVID?
Can I make one correction? Your question, Sherelle, we're already at $420 for out of district, so we have a typo in the report.
Oh, okay.
So we're not asking for an increase
Okay.
there. We're already there.
Do we have a lot of out-of-district students, though?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
How many would you say?
You probably can count on your hand,
Out of
right?
district. How
It's
many?
in the report here.
Typically?
It was 3.
I was going to say, you can count on your hand. Yeah.
Huge.
Let's see, we, 3, the year before at 2, then 5, then 8, then 6, then 2, so less than 10.
I'm seeing a trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2. 3. Small.
It's quantitative literacy, I'm just saying.
Yes. All right. And, yep, that's it for summer school report and summer school calendar.
Sounds good.
All right. We are our board, all 7 board members, attended the joint annual conference 2 weekends ago. So thank you for giving up a Friday and a Saturday of your time to come and do professional development on your craft. I appreciate that. We always hold a little time aside here if board members wanted to point out something of interest or something important or just something they wanted to share from going to the conference.
Well, I had 2. I'll bring up my CTE, which I already discussed, which I thought was very interesting. And then it was funny about the Heritage Spanish because one of the members of the audience brought up in that presentation about they were having trouble with people who were either not heritage speakers, but who were native speakers of Spanish, because when they would take like advanced classes or examinations for university, they were fine in their Spanish, but they couldn't pass the Spanish tests because their English wasn't good enough. So I just thought that was really interesting finding. And Gina's going, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, we have found that with the seal of biliteracy. Students need to prove proficiency in.
That was it, thank you, seal of biliteracy.
Foreign language. And then in English, we have some native heritage speakers who can pass it in Spanish, but not in English. And actually, we think, and we even have it reversed too. We have students who can speak and maybe write, but not read completely. So that's something that they would work on. So we're hoping that will increase. Cool. Because they can get college credit for the seal of biliteracy.
That's
Anybody
awesome.
else?
So I had a couple fun experiences. So one thing that we had a lot of discussion about before going was the resolutions that were being considered, right? So the most controversial being resolution number 1, which talked about returning some local control to school boards in order to allow them to elect to arm staff members. Surprise, there was a lot of conversation about it. A lot of people stood up and talked. It ended up failing 198 to 249.
It's pretty close, though, really.
Yeah. And it did, the arguments did fall along the same sort of lines that we understood them to be, meaning the local, the more rural districts not having the resources and even saying that even if we did have the resources, there isn't the SRO candidate available to us,
to even hire.
But a lot of people stood up and talked quite passionately about how which was my position, how I empathize with the situation, but this isn't a solution. That teachers would have so little time to react, and actually something that it occurred to me too that I think was a little reflective of Rick's take on the whole thing is, it's like our cultural tendency to want to take a pill to cure an ill instead of doing what you need to prevent it in the first place. We were looking for that easy way out. So we pass a law, now it's done, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. In fact, but the problem still is going to exist, and so that was that, and there were, as you saw, numerous resolutions and reaffirmation of past resolutions, and more than half of all of those were on a consent agenda. So I thought, cool, this is going to be a short meeting, and one by one, people got up and asked for things to be pulled off the consent agenda. And I was like, I'm going to be here all day. And it included ours.
Really?
Yeah, so I thought, okay, so now I'm going through some notes and thinking I'm going to have to get up and defend it. And so I was prepared to do that. But interestingly enough, when it did come up for a vote, the way it all works is there's a microphone on one side of the room and there's a microphone on the other side of the room, and those four are over here, those four, right. And so I didn't see anybody stand up to speak against. So I didn't stand up to speak in favor because I assumed it being on the consent agenda that it must have a good deal of support. And in fact, it did pass. There were maybe 3 votes against it that I could see looking around the room. But there was no rationale given for why they wanted to pull it off the consent agenda. So curious, but anyhow, we're in. So that was done. The meeting lasted just under a couple hours. Everything else pretty much went according to the committee's recommendations. So basically our position on everything was affirmed. And I went to a couple of workshops. Obviously, I missed a little because of the delegate assembly. But I went to the one called Change the Game with Twitter because our District 58 Superintendent, Kevin Russell, was partnering with Dr. Rozelle from Lamont in presenting. And I don't know much about Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, and I know we do a great job with it, thanks to Jill and Hank. But I know very much, so I didn't know that a hashtag groups like things together. So I learned something. To me, it's still a pound symbol or number symbol. So anyhow, I learned a few things there about it, and then I also attended a workshop on rural schools and the crosshairs, which I thought was. I don't know much about what they're dealing with, and I thought maybe I'll learn something and have a better understanding. And this was kind of born out of that resolution discussion and thinking about how different things are for us. And I was kind of glad that my badge didn't say Downers Grove District 99, or something like that. It just says Community High School District 99 because the room was overflowing, and this was definitely this was outstate sort of thing, right? This was definitely a rural and small district group of people talking about a lot of their difficulties, one of the biggest being a shortage of teachers. And I didn't realize it was such a problem. I mean, I knew it was a problem anecdotally, heard a lot about it, and my daughter's going to school to be a teacher, and so I'm looking forward to there being lots of jobs for her coming out of school. But they said that there's currently 1,800 teacher openings in the state. 1,800. And that could balloon to over 2,500 after retires happened this summer because people leaving. And I was just astounded. I had no idea that the problem was that large. And this speaks, so when we look at everything that we're up against in terms of bringing in more diversified staff, and I mean, this all factors into this, right? Because we're talking about rural schools and small schools, so not all small schools are in rural places either. So I thought that this was kind of surprising to me. I just didn't know it was that big. And there's some rural teaching programs that are being piloted in our state colleges, including, and as well as 2 private colleges, Quincy and Monmouth. And what they're doing is to address this teacher shortage. They are remotely kind of streaming classes. So their students are at school, but they're participating in a class that's happening at a community college or these small colleges. And so I had this sort of crazy idea. I mean, would it be possible for us to partner with some small school somewhere in this sort of capacity where they were able to participate in some way with a class that we're doing? And I mean, so it was one of those brainstorm ideas that hit me when I was in there. And maybe it's crazy, maybe it's not, but it's my problem-solving hat. I'm always thinking about creative ways to how we can address things. And So maybe there'd be some sort of mutually beneficial thing that could happen with a partnership like that. I don't know. I made a little note that we need to nominate Mark Stalen for an ISBO Monarch Award. They give, this is Sunday mornings.
We do need to nominate.
We need to nominate.
Sunday morning, I stayed for that general session, and that was where they talked about that, and I was sitting, listening to all these qualifications, and I'm like, we've got a guy that's so much, so well qualified.
That we might submit his name twice for this
year. I think we should submit it over and over again until,
his name twice.
Because,
I take
Mark
multiple
is...
times for them to take you seriously,
I'm feeling pretty confident that the man
We submitted
may
his
have
name
won.
twice. Have we? Different groups submitted him that I wrote recommendations.
Well, sooner or later, these people are going to realize how awesome some of our people here, and we're going to stay on that.
Later.
And at that general session Sunday morning, I've always shared that I think that's the best one, and this year again was not to be outdone previous sessions. The gal's name was Kelsey Tanish. She's in her late 20s. She had a brain tumor when she was just 15 years old. Caused her to be paralyzed on the right side of her body.
When she was 5, it recurred when she was 15.
Recurred when she was 15, yeah. But I was just so blown away with her optimism and her courage. And the one thing that really kind of stuck with me about her presentation was, two things. One, seeing if somebody ever says no to her, she takes that on as a challenge. That's, don't tell me no, because I'm going for that. And then secondly, about being different. Like, she struggled with, because she's got her arms just like permanently like this, and so she started trying to hide it by putting her hand in her pocket, sort of a try to fit in sort of thing. And then she realized that she didn't want to fit in. She wanted to be who she was, and then extrapolated that into how we as school board members need to look at people that we're responsible for and we're working with, and really celebrate those differences, because society is so much about trying to get people to conform. We heard tonight about how, hey, well, it's easy for me to be a leader when I'm with people who are like me and they're expecting me to do these things, but when I'm kind of with everyone I know, everyone's expecting me to behave in a certain way and look a certain way, and a lot of great things come out of people that are, resisting all of that, and she was definitely one of them. So
her
it was
message, I think, at that point was, don't hide anything in your pocket.
Don't hide. Don't hide it. So anyhow, that's my report.
I have a quick question about the 1,800 teacher openings. Is that if we quantify it against how many schools and how many teachers are actually teaching in a school, is that a big number? I mean, I'm looking at the fact that, I don't know.
Depends on where you're.
Proportion is it?
Yeah.
Proportion of teachers for how many schools there are in Illinois as opposed to.
There's 852 school districts in Illinois.
52, okay, school districts, okay.
School districts, and in there's a lot of schools, but it's disproportionately vacancies in rural or southern Illinois. Pete and I have heard of many schools that have not been able to hire a single science teacher in years, right? And we're not talking not 1 year, we're talking like the whole science department have not had one for years.
Wow.
All the science courses are through
those
Mike
remote.
was talking about through like TV, through
Well, that's a disadvantage.
college or a university.
Yes.
or
Well,
whatever.
it's also a disparity of salary ranges.
Well-
I mean, when you think about what the downstate school districts can afford to pay that science teacher and what we in the collar counties can pay
right?
Our science teacher.
They talked about that.
If a student comes out of ISU and they look at that, where do you think they're going to go?
That's changing. I went to legislation section. And so the legislators have passed mandatory minimum salary for teachers across the state, which is going to help downstate, I would hope, a little bit.
As long as they get the money to pay them.
Well, that's just it. They don't have the money. But the big thing is,
money to support that.
Illinois has always been rough to transfer in from another state, and they have made those, they've dropped those walls and barriers quite a bit in the last year, in the last 6 months. So if you went to school in Missouri, you could come here if you wanted to.
So they
Now
talked,
you can, a lot easier.
they talked about how, listen, there's no way we're ever going to be able to pay like, some of the collar counties do. And they're accepting that, and they're thinking about how, there are other reasons for people to want to be there.
Well, the quality of life.
Quality of
is much
life,
different.
cost of living.
And that's changing.
Right?
Yeah,
And so-
45.5, I think, or some number, I thought.
To 40.
40,000.
Over the next 4 years.
Right, there's going to be a minimum salary for teachers across
Yeah.
the state
Okay.
to help offset the downstate shortage.
They have a so this was put on by the Illinois Association of Rural and Small School Districts, and it was interesting when they asked how many people in the room are a member of their organization. It would maybe 10 to 20% rose their hands. They're like, we need you all to join with us, because they've started a campaign called I Am a Rural Teacher campaign, and talking about the benefits of that, talking about how they need to, especially in small towns, everybody knows each other, and sometimes when you're coming in from outside, like, you don't feel welcome because you haven't been here for 20 or 30 years. And I mean, there was one guy that said he'd been someplace the last 30 years, and he was still referred to as his wife's, this is Joanne's husband or something, so dealing with that. But I thought, they had another statistic. There's 500,000 students currently enrolled in what would be considered rural and small schools in Illinois. CPS has 400,000 students. So this teacher shortage is actually, this is affecting a larger number of students than Chicago Public Schools. Yet it gets much less attention, and they're trying to do something about that.
Need to talk about consolidation too, where they had to roll districts together.
Yeah, they weren't real keen on that.
No, but that's what they're forced to do financially, and they don't want to. Yeah.
Those coming from one of those small communities, it has changed just drastically since I was there, and that's been 30 years at least.
But you're almost a senior, so.
Yeah. But there have been far more consolidations. I mean, the schools, used to have a high school in every one of the towns, and now it's like 4 or 5 towns have come together, and still at that rate, it is no bigger than what one of the schools were.
Yeah, but then you also have kids who are on the bus an hour and a half, 2 hours each way.
Absolutely. I mean, I live 20 miles from school, and I was on the bus from almost 7 o'clock in the morning to get to school by 8 o'clock, So, I mean, and I went K through 12 on that same bus. So that was a rude awakening for those kindergartners.
Not to mention the bus driver.
The bus. Pardon?
Nothing, dear.
That poor bus driver. How many years with you?
Yeah. No, that was Mr. Archdale. I remember him.
You remember the name of your bus driver?
Any other comments, Mike?
Yeah.
Any other comments from IASB?
Any other comments?
From IASB.
Oh, no, I think you've heard enough about IASB.
Anybody else want to share anything they walked away with?
I didn't.
I am stretching myself, as I'm saying, into 2020. So I did all. My sessions were around funding because I feel like I really need to get my hands around that because it's still sometimes cloudy, evidence-based funding, all these acronyms. So I did pick up a few things, but obviously I need to go back to those again, similar things like that next year. But what I did totally enjoy, which is kind of in my wheelhouse. At the end, I kind of did one that I was familiar with, what the topic that I'm familiar with, which is foundation. Stager High School talked about all these amazing things they're doing for foundation. So I took quite a bit of notes. Haven't gotten a chance to jot them down.
Streeter High School?
Streeter, yeah. Did I give it a new name?
You did.
You said Stager. Yep, that one. Streeter. Yeah. So I will share those notes. But one thing was something like really tapping into the alumni to beef up the foundation. For instance, they talked about having, you know how we do peace awards? I thought about alumni awards where, you know, you have class of 70 and class of 71, and you're like, look, who's bad? You know, who can give the most money? You know, so I even tied it to music, and I put my own spin on it. But I jotted some notes down to share. Because they did they talked about some really great things. Even single people who may be in the district who don't have anyone to pass their money off or whatever to, you know, have you considered, you know, foundation? They may work in a school district. So
an endowment.
Yeah. So, yeah.
No, those are really good ideas.
So I enjoyed all of my sessions, even the ones where I was stretching myself. So.
And how did the presentation go?
Oh, great. Yeah, we had dozens of adoring fans.
Dozens of adoring fans.
Yes. That was good. People were excited to hear about the things we're doing in the district and how creative we've been, and people picked up a few things, so it was good.
Anything else? If not, let's work on that Monarch Award.
We'll work on it.
Let's move on to the master facility plan progress.
Not much to update. We're kind of in the design phase for B and C. We have the ongoing construction going on. A couple of delays at North. We were supposed to have a 90-ton air conditioning unit lifted from the parking lot onto the roof by helicopter this weekend, which was delayed because of the wind conditions.
Oh, gee.
So that will be rescheduled at another day. Yeah. 90-ton unit blown in the wind.
Yeah,
not a good idea.
That's scary.
You know whose house it would have landed in.
Yeah, we have a couple of board members nearby. We make sure they're really clear.
Yeah.
Indirect. Like airplane.
So that's been delayed. And then we did mention, as we took down the bleachers at North, we discovered some soil issues, some very loose soil. It's worse than we thought.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're having a soil study done for there. There'll be a redesign of the foundation and footings for that set of bleachers. So the work has been refocused over to South while they redesign North, but little delay on that one right now.
Maybe that's why the bleachers were all askew anyway.
Could be. Yeah.
Did you find Jimmy Hoffa?
No, not yet. That's it for right now.
So Hank, just a quick question.
Yep.
Earlier, back in whenever it was, May or June, you said the school board members want to come by and get tours. June was a good time. When would be another good time to? It's been 6 months. I don't love to go through both and see progress where we're at, but I don't want to do it during a time that would interfere with busy schedules. Or
yeah, if anytime you want to come by and see it, just let me know, and we'll get a time when you can stop by the buildings, and somebody will take you on a walk. Not much to see. Well, North.
Because they're still building the foundation.
No, but I don't know. Have you seen the completed work from the summer yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot to see.
Yeah, it was great.
The work that's going on now, there's not much to see, but
it was
completed
really
stuff
great.
from the summer, there's lots of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, just let us know anytime. Anytime you guys want to visit the schools, just let us know, and we'll get a time where you can go for a walk.
This summer I'll do stairs again.
Okay. Terry, yeah, you might not want to go for a walk for a little bit.
Yeah. Summertime I'll go to stairs.
That's it.
Okay, so this is an opportunity for audience members to address the board. Is there anybody who wishes to address the board? Hearing none, we need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved. Terry. Sherelle. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.